Take a look behind the curtain with a real whistleblower and American patriot. Prepare to embrace the uncomfortable truth because this program has no time for comforting lies. Here is civil liberties enthusiast, Second Amendment defender, and recovering FBI agent Kyle Seraphin.
Hello, my friends. Welcome to the Kyle Seraphin Show. Today is Thursday. It is July the 10th, and we are live right now. And I'm exhausted. I don't know if you guys are exhausted, but I am fatigued. I'm fatigued of the influencers. I'm fatigued of this Streisand Effect situation that's going on. Fatigued about Epstein List and the lack of prosecution. I'm fatigued at people trying to run cover. And I've decided that I have two favorite cabinet members in the Trump administration. One of them is Sean Duffy, who I've spoken to a couple times. I really liked him when I did. I really like the values that he puts out there in the world. And the other one is Chris Wright, who we almost never hear from, but he's running the energy department and is actually really, really bright. He's probably the brightest guy in the room when he goes and talks about the subject matter that he's running. If you guys didn't hear, they just named Sean Duffy to be the interim administrator of NASA. It's going to have some people really outraged. Going to have some people saying this is our guy. In the federal government, whenever you assume an acting or an interim role like that, you're usually just a seat warmer. Your job is to hold the title until the real person gets there. And so you're not making massive policy changes, and you're not going to be the acting administrator of NASA and then be like, you know what, we're going to colonize Neptune. Here we go. Brr, like full speed. Brr. That just doesn't happen. And he seems generally competent at the things he does. And he's a really smart guy. And he has really good values. And he's got 9 kids, which is awesome. It is aspirational for Americans, I think. So those are my favorite cabinet members. And I dislike everybody else right now. I am so worn out that I've got a show of comedy for you, which is not something we always do. But I've got a mixture of just fun things that are happening and funny things that people have said, and we're going to even lead with a little bit of humor. So rather than at the end of the show, we'll do a palate cleanse where we can walk off into the sunset and feel a little bit better about our life. We're going to do that throughout the entire show today because I need it. Maybe you do as well. It seems like in July we should be celebrating independence and American ideals and blowing stuff up in the sky, and this is what this country is about, and people should be out and having a good time. And instead, there's a lot of people that are very frustrated that the administration that we were hoping were going to give us a lot of transparency, they were going to do the right thing, they were going to behave in a way that we expected, is not just mixed bag. It's like really good stuff and really awful stuff, and a lot of people trying to excuse it. So we're going to have some fun. I'm going to throw some earworms into your head. I've got an Alex Jones song because I've been on his show twice this week. I've got a kid who's got a mediocre voice, kind of Bob Dylan-y, playing a song. Probably some of you have seen this out there. I've had it sent to me by a few friends, so we'll do that. And yeah, we're gonna have a good show. We're gonna have fun. I promise you. I'm too tired of the ridiculousness right now to do something else. Let's talk about something else I absolutely love. You guys have seen this B-roll footage before, but I absolutely love the stuff that I have from Silent. Silent is a Faraday manufacturing company. They make stuff inside the United States. If you want to buy something that is Berry compliant, or if you're a military operator, or you have a contract for law enforcement that requires it, it is something you should be using if you are trying to do secure comms, if you are serious about protecting your privacy from government, from criminal actors, if you are working for a government agency and you do not have access to a Faraday solution, you should buy one of these things. It is a no-brainer. They actually work, and I've tested them to the scruples that we use for national security work in the FBI. That's just my personal endorsement. There's no government agency behind it, but a lot of government agencies have actually bought their stuff. I've actually got one of their sensitive site exploitation bags sitting behind me, which you can carry in a cargo pocket, roll out, and keep, I don't know, some evil pedophile's phone from auto wiping and going away or getting a remote signal. They're really awesome products. They work well. They're well designed. This everyday Faraday backpack is outstanding. You can get access to them by going to slnt.com/Kyle. You'll save 15% on anything you buy with the promo code Kyle, Kyle. Their stuff is, like I said, it's really well designed. They make dry bags that work. They make dive flotation stuff if you're on a mission where you need to have your electronics protected and take it underwater, which is freaking awesome. I did a whole thing where I talked to Aaron, one of the company's founders, about their purge devices. They've got a little purge valve that'll allow you to take it and make it neutrally buoyant and swim with it. Probably not necessary for most of you, but a company that can make a neutrally buoyant swim Faraday bag can also make something that works really well in your purse or in your wallet or in your truck as you drive around. If you want to block signals, if you want to peace and quiet for a few minutes, if you want to just hide things for just a short period of time. And we actually have one. This is a different one than I normally use, but this is a little dry bag that comes with the bigger dry bag. It's a 2-in-1 product, and I forgot to throw my phone in earlier. So take it. All you do is you roll the top and you button it over and you're good to go, and you can hang it. It's got a little lanyard thing here. I'm off camera. It's got a little lanyard thing here. You can, a little D-ring, you can go. Anyway, I'm a huge fan of good products that actually work. slnt.com/KYLE. Check them out in the show description. Again, check out the E3 Everyday Faraday backpack, one of the best designed bags that I've used in a long time. And I'm a freaking bag guy. I have a dozen or more backpacks. I have like bags, duffel bags full of backpacks. So check them out. When you're in the market, if you're in the market, you won't regret it. All right, here we go. Let's get into today's show and have a little fun. That was kind of like a long setup and monologue thing and telling you what I'm going to tell you. But I'm going to tell you that there is no Epstein List. Anybody who's thinking like, if we just hammer them harder, like they've already said what they're going to say. The question is what you do about it. And maybe the best thing is to sing a song about it on TikTok like this kid did. The haircut, not advisable. The voice, not the best. The lyrics, absolutely brilliant. So let's start with a little bit of fun, a little bit of amusement as we come into the tail end of this week on this Thursday morning. For those of you listening after the fact, I will find you this kid's name so we can all follow him because apparently he does this fairly frequently. This is news story put to music in a field with a guitar and a little webcam. Here we go.
Hey, you got your bucket list, your grocery list, your list of things to do. You got a list of all your wishes. That's a wish list, dude. You got your Amazon and Santa Claus and Tooth Fairy too. But I know a list that don't exist, and buddy, so do you. It's the Epstein List, it's a mystery list, with the twist, it's a myth of a list that we all dismiss. Be an optimist, not a pessimist. If you wish to persist, it's probably best to forget that list. Now what were we talking about? I don't remember, but I can sleep a lot better at night. Yeah, life can just go along. Knowing there's 10,000 hours of sunshine and flowers and nobody doing a damn thing wrong. Hear no, see no damn Bongino, cash Patel. Well, I wouldn't want to be a sweating man with bulging eyes. Now tell me them fellas ain't compromised. Any implicated dude will tell you. Anybody on the big list knows just how far the folks in charge will go to keep the status quo. So when the war bell rings, the song that they'll sing is a song that we well know. I-oh, so it's off to war I go. Well, they said they're gonna fix it, but now they're all complicit. They-oh, so it's off to war we go. In the poor after war, what else are we for? They-oh.
How about that? The List. Are we going to get a distractionary war? Is that what's going on? Because that doesn't sound really great. Not a big fan of hearing those things. I believe this is Donald Trump telling us that we're totally not going to war, but we might go ahead and send some more things. All the this is what I voted for, folks. Is this what we voted for?
We want to put defensive weapons because Putin is not treating human beings right. He's killing too many people. So we're sending some defensive weapons to Ukraine, and I've approved that.
I got that kind of vibe from like John Candy, you know, and he's sitting in the seat, and I think it's Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, and he's like, "Oh, sure, yeah. They're defensive weapons. We're gonna send defensive weapons because we need to go and do that. Awesome. I'm thrilled. Let's send weapons to Ukraine. Let's have a new president come in, promising no wars, settle whatever skirmish was going on between Iran and Israel, and then let's go ahead and see if we could just poke the Russians again with a little bit more U.S. money in the bag." And it comes on the same cabinet meeting where we heard The why are we even talking about this creep? The Jeffrey Epstein thing. We just heard the List song. I actually believe that Trump is probably not implicated in the List per se. Donors, maybe. That could be a real thing. Exposure there. But again, we're talking about who's in his ear, how small is that bubble, and what penetrates the bubble. When you got people from Ballard Partners who came out of Florida, who have deals with major Democrat influence people, when you've got an attorney general who used to be a lobbyist for a foreign government like Qatar, it's kind of swampy, isn't it? Isn't it kind of gross? Also, I've been kind of laying off the Pam Bondi criticisms just because I don't know much about her, and I've kind of just been watching her to see what my impressions show. She doesn't seem smart. Like, I don't mind when they're smart. I don't even mind bad people that are smart. I kind of had a lot of respect for Jim Comey. I don't like him as a person. I don't think he was a good man, but he was really bright, and you couldn't say otherwise. He was a truly charismatic, capable, sneaky, slimy guy, but he wasn't dumb. And you got to kind of give it to those folks. I kind of want like a better class of bad guy in general. Like, I'd rather have a Lex Luthor than someone who just goes out and smashes and breaks things. Bondi doesn't seem that sharp. All of the hits that she does on Fox, which are like all of the things that she does, are not that great. They're pretty unimpressive. And so, it's not great. We're going to talk a little bit about the treason, the case for treason, I guess I'll call it. Let's do some news stories because I think they're good. And we're going to go back and do some more fun. I promise you I will intermix it throughout. If you have never heard Alex Jones talking about Donald Trump in a bed of goblins, this show is for you. When I found it, I held it. I'm going to keep it. It's my favorite song now. Only because Alex Jones is hilarious. Okay, this is a good story. It's worth talking about. 6 Secret Service agents suspended over conduct during the attempted Trump assassination. I mean, this is what people were concerned about, right? What were some of the big, top line issues? We had a Secret Service that seemed to allow a presidential candidate, now the current president, to have someone get within 130, 150 yards of him and take a pot shot at him. This story is truly disingenuous, by the way, but the outcomes are not good. 6 agents suspended by the United States Secret Service for failures connected to last year's attempted assassination of then a presidential candidate, now President Donald Trump, in Butler, PA. The personnel moves were confirmed 4 days shy of the anniversary of the July 13th, 2024 shooting. Are you ready for the way that ABC describes the shooting? When I saw this morning, I went, oh, yeah, of course. The anniversary of the July 13th, 2024 shooting incident that left Trump's ear bloodied. That was an incident that left Trump's ear bloodied. That's how they described it at ABC. End of sentence. End of paragraph. I'm actually flabbergasted. That is the most wild underplaying of potentially the most significant few seconds in the last, let's call it 20 years. If somebody actually had killed the opposition candidate who had endured all of the things that Trump had thrown at him, and as you guys know, I'm not a pom-pom cheerleader for Donald Trump. Haven't been, won't be. But to act like that wasn't one of the most serious, scary moments for the entire nation, including those idiots on the left that were cheering for it, is absurd and insane. And there was a shooting incident that left Trump's ear bloodied. Then they go ahead and follow up with Corey Comparator, a firefighter attending Trump's campaign rally, died in the attack. Yeah, no shit. Because some asshole was shooting. Some dude was firing an AR into a crowd recklessly. And we still know almost nothing about it. Who the hell was this kid? What was going on there? And I'm not conspiratorial about that. I'm just getting at the fact that didn't happen in a vacuum and the transparency didn't happen. You just come out and lay it out on the table. It's like, look, the guy's dead. He has no right to privacy anymore. The guy died in the attack. Not the word murdered. Was killed in an assassination attempt. It was just a shooting incident where his ear got bloodied. It's kind of like, when you go to the range and somebody shoots into a steel target and a piece of spall like hits you in the ear. It's kind of like that, except it almost took his head off and it would have like changed American politics forever. Holy crap, people. Counter snipers in Trump's Secret Service detail who were on site killed the shooter, identified by the FBI as 20-year-old Thomas Matthew Crooks. In the aftermath of the shooting, an independent shooting review by the Department of Homeland Security showed a series of law enforcement breakdowns, you think, that created an environment that left Donald Trump vulnerable to a would-be assassin. There's the first time they used the word assassination or assassin. It's buried deep below the fold. The Secret Service, this is like the understatement of the year, but I love government reports. Quote, the Secret Service did not or does not perform at the elite levels needed to discharge its critical mission. The Secret Service has become bureaucratic, complacent, and static, even though risks have multiplied and technology has evolved. That is a very, very accurate governmental sanitized way of saying exactly what we told you at the time. The myth of competency does exist. The myth of invulnerability due to Secret Service protection is a real concept. People think if you were to go do this, you would never survive. And yet there are multiple survivors of these encounters, including the guy that broke into the Obama White House that made it over the fence. Everybody thought they were going to be like spring-loaded torpedo tube attack dogs that would go and get them, self-firing Uzis all over the lawn. None of that stuff exists. It's not real. The Secret Service is complacent, it is bureaucratic, and it is static, as in it is not evolving with the threats that have multiplied along with the technology that does. I think that is the understatement of the year, but it's also a very accurate, sane, and sober way to look at this stuff. All right. The Secret Service director at the time resigned 10 days after the shooting. We know about this. The discipline against the 6 agents issued in recent months, and the agents were given the right to the appeals. The suspensions, this is what happened to those people who apparently failed on the job. They lost their job and their paycheck for between 10 and 42 days. In the FBI, if you drive your car outside of duty hours and you are caught misusing a government vehicle, it is a mandatory 30-day suspension. For almost getting the now current president of the United States killed due to failures on the line and in the supervisory level, someone got a 42-day suspension. That was the most aggressive thing that happened, and one lady was able to resign and retire. This should absolutely blow your mind, but it does tell you there's no accountability as long as you don't embarrass the agency by name publicly. Or if you're just doing stuff at a bad job and you almost got Donald Trump killed. The positions suspended ranged from supervisory level to the line agent level. By the way, people, those are the bottom 2 bands of operational agents. The 1811 the terminal pay grade is 13. That's where I was at. That's what the tenured position is for a criminal investigator, which for some reason is also Secret Service agents who do protection. So GS 13, and the next level, the supervisory level, is GS 14. Once you move into the levels above that, the 15, they're called something else. Usually ASAC or RAC or whatever else. They have a regional agent in command or regional agent in charge. They have all these different names in different agencies, but supervisory level is generally speaking just a first line supervisor. So a 13 and a 14 got suspended for up to 42 days. Meanwhile, Garrett O'Boyle is on a close to 1,025 days for doing something that he didn't do. I'm not trying to draw the equivalence there, but let's just say in the world of one guy went to Congress and said there's some malfeasance happening in my agency and I'm pretty confident we're breaking the law and we're violating our constitutional dictates, and another person almost got the now president of the United States killed, and that was their job to make sure that didn't happen. 42 days on the bricks. Anyway, just 9 weeks after the shooting, there was a second apparent assassination attempt. Doesn't say that anybody was suspended over that. I don't know that they were necessarily required to do that. There was he didn't have a shooting incident that wounded his ear, so thank God. Yeah, really, that's kind of where we're at right now with sort of like some of the dumbest things out there. We are also getting some sober stuff from the left-wing media, which I think is worth covering. This is a kind of an interesting little bit here. Trump's immigration record so far: high arrests and low deportations. It is actually what we're seeing. There was an X space that I was in last night or the night before. I'm sitting there listening because we're talking about the mechanics of the FBI. I feel like a lot of my job is to go out there and help people understand what it is that they're talking about. Most people don't know, which is where we're going to get to the end of here. The so-called, what about treason? We're going to get Comey and Brennan for treason, which is what the DOJ marched out to try to cover for Epstein stuff. There's a low degree of mechanics, but one of the things that was pointed out to me that I thought was actually very salient. Our news cycle moves so fast that 20 days is last year. Do you know that about 20 days ago, less than 20 podcasts ago, we were talking about the No Kings rally and the leftists being completely like out of their minds and throwing riots in Los Angeles. Do you guys recall that? Because that was what was going on. It was only 20 news days ago. 20 shows for me. It might be about 25. It's it might be close to 30 calendar days. But that was a month ago. So that was very recent. And immigration is one of the things that I think Trump probably has to get a hold on. It is the slow bleed that will kill this country financially, culturally, like even the law enforcement sort of overwhelming nature of it. There was just, again, another young lady who was beaten by a legal immigrant this time, as far as I can tell. Aaron Stevenson's feed, if you guys follow DHS Aaron, he was out there talking about it yesterday. It was a guy that basically didn't return some woman's fascination on Snapchat, and he hunted her down in real life and beat her to death. Was here in this country legally, but was an immigrant. All right. This is worth knowing. Donald Trump's immigration enforcement record, let's be honest about it. It involved a lot of flashy arrests and very low numbers of deportation. So this is NBC making that report. You can almost always tell by the navy blue headlines when we cut these. ICE last month arrested the most people in at least the last 5 years, but the deportations that are going behind it have paled in comparison. Some of that is lawfare because they've been slowing it down. Some of that is this failure of the executive to do the thing that it's supposed to do, which is just go out and act and not ask for permission from federal judges, which we thought that we had some of this stuff, handled. We did get a Supreme Court ruling that said that the executive is supposed to do it. By the way, that also helps the left when they take power. The executive is going to do executive stuff, and they should. They should also do things that are legal and not unconstitutional, which is what the Biden administration did, at least in my life. ICE, which is Immigration and Customs Enforcement agents last month, man, I got to slow down, arrested the most people that they have in the last 5 years, but deportations are lagging far behind what Donald Trump promised and even behind what the Obama administration says or did, according to data obtained by NBC News. The discrepancy between arrests and deportation highlight the challenges the Trump administration faces trying to make good on Trump's Inauguration Day vow to deport millions and millions of immigrants. This is a critical thing that needs to happen. How many millions? We don't know. Was it 7? Was it 11? Was it 21? I've heard that. I actually heard someone say the other day that the estimates, if we were being honest, in the last 30 years is 60 million. That seems high. There's got to be some leaving and some dying and whatever else. But, millions and millions is like a baseline level that needed to be done. According to ICE data, its agents arrested roughly 30,000 immigrants, aka illegal aliens. That's why they were arrested. They're not immigrants last month. And it was the most that they've made publicly available since November of 2020, which was obviously right after when Trump theoretically lost the election. I'm doing air quotes for those who are listening. The number of immigrants deported in June, more than 18,000, amounted to roughly half the number of arrests. That's not fast enough. And of course, if you are arresting twice as many as you are deporting, you are going to have a massive boom in detainees, which costs us even more money again after all of the billions of dollars that have been spent. The difference between arrests and deportations was similar in previous months. In other words, you're getting about like a 60% ratio of people deported to the people that are arrested. So you're keeping a balance of 40% over a period of time. And that's not great. That is not a good situation for anyone. We need to see them do better. One of the better things that is going to make people leave, I think, and it is something that we've heard from folks in our audience, especially on the Thursday night call-in shows, which just a little plug right now. If you're one of our subscribers over on X, if you're a subscriber on Locals, if you are a member of the channel on YouTube, and by the way, please hit a like and make sure you're subscribed one way or another. But if you want to be a paid subscriber on there, you do have access to our call-in show that we do on Thursday nights, where we just take calls and we just riff about what you're interested in. We had a guy call in who was a trucker who said one of the major issues is we're putting illegal aliens behind the bed of massive, or behind the wheel rather, of massive vehicles, driving payloads all over this country for cheaper than what American drivers might do, the owner-operator types and the folks that are renting. I have a kind of a soft spot for truckers in my life. I don't know why that. I have this realization that our entire country runs on an infrastructure that is petroleum based, and it is big rig trucking based. It's long haul trucking based. It has to be. There was a sign I saw one time that says, if you have it, it was brought to you by a truck. The odds are incredibly high. I don't know anything that's getting drone airdropped at my house. So yeah, we're talking about people who make the American economy run. How do we know that? We also saw what happened when they had some bottlenecks during COVID in 2020, starting after March, going on into 2021. When you stop letting people do the job they had, you shut down American cities, all kinds of bad things could happen. So one thing you could do is give them a little bit of relief in the wage war against illegal aliens who can underbid the jobs and can work with less competency. And by the way, I can't tell you how many times it is. It's anecdotal evidence, but my wife is constantly bringing me yet another story that just happened in Dallas a couple days ago. Illegal alien, someone who has no business with a driver's license, let alone a CDL, driving into a family and killing more people. So how many American citizens' lives have been taken by these idiots driving on the roads when they're used to driving bumper cars in their third world shitholes, to quote Donald Trump? Again, a little spicy there. So here's what I got for you. Sean Duffy making an announcement. And isn't it fun that Fox News is so ignorant? They're like, we want to set this up and sound like it's a brand new thing. And Duffy goes out there and corrects him and is like, by the way, this isn't a long time thing. I'll let him say it because I like listening to Sean Duffy. A little clip from Fox News on the white couch from, I think, yesterday.
So got some news on when it comes to trucking in the United States. And one thing that I think that it might be of interest to a lot of people are new rules requiring that if you want to drive an 18-wheeler on our roads with a commercial license, you're going to have to learn how to speak English and understand and read English so that you can be trusted to know all of the regulations and safety precautions required to drive these 18-wheelers.
Well, all the road signs, but also if you get in a car crash or if you're pulled over by law enforcement, you have to be able to communicate, what you have on your truck, on your rig. Listen, this is not a new rule. By the way, the English only requirement or English proficiency requirement has been on the books for a long time. It's just that Barack Obama made sure that if you violated that rule, it was a slap on the wrist. We're going back to the old rule of we're going to put your rig out of service and make sure that you don't drive if you can't speak the language, which, again, this is just common sense. This is our language, English. If you're going to get on the road with one of these potentially dangerous vehicles, speak our language.
And Secretary.
Oh, that seems like really common sense. We did hear that Trump was kind of advertising a common sense revolution that is utterly common sense. Like I said, he's in the running for my top two. You won't hear as much from Chris Wright, but he's also very, very bright. So how about just simple common sense things like good valued human being, someone who shows broad competencies, right? He was a member of Congress. He was able to be successful in the media space. He came out of a reality TV show. How about the competency of being able to maintain a marriage with 9 children, including a special needs kid? Like, I love everything about that guy. I really do. And he's a handsome man and he's well-spoken and he doesn't mix words. Speak our language. Shouldn't that be something that our states actually pick up on? I'd love to see a couple of states have the balls to do this. No more press 2 for Espanol. Why? Why is it that you don't have to speak English to be able to drive in a country that are full of English-speaking sites? Like, I don't like driving in other countries. You ever driven in a country where you don't speak the language? How about if you don't even know the alphabet? What if you come from China? It reminds me of a moment when I was doing a ride-along. This is like before I had a law enforcement career. I had made an application when I got out of the military to go work for the University of Texas Police Department, which would have been a horrible job for me. And thankfully, God's plan did not include that. But I did a ride along with one of their officers. Super nice guy, really, really decent people. And we're riding and we see this young female. I can't remember what the inciting cause of for the traffic stop, but it was like no license plate, blasted through a stop. It was something. It was like a minor infraction. So we follow this girl. He flips the lights on and we're pulling over this car. Nice car. Maybe a Lexus or a Mercedes, something to that effect. We followed it through multiple stop signs. Stopped, go. Stopped, go. This person's not pulling over. We're following them for the better part of a mile. The campus at the University of Texas is pretty good. The size of the area that the university PD there can actually police is quite small. But we're still in it, and we're going in, and we're heading down towards what they call the drag. And so this woman makes a northbound turn on the drag and is driving past on the west side of the University of Texas campus. I have a pretty clear memory of this moment. The female driver finally pulls into a parking lot, which amusingly enough was the NPR affiliate, KUT, and parks in a parking spot. So the officer boxes him in, like you'd expect, comes in on an angle, jumps out of the car, throws the spotlight on the person. Please, whatever, roll the window down. We step out, and you don't know if this is going to be like a felony situation. It's 3 Asian females, Chinese students that are here on study abroad, visas or whatever. They're driving a very nice car, nicer than my car was. They speak basically no functional English. And the woman who is in the back seat, who's probably 20 years old, looked like a cartoon of a terrified Chinese person. She was like, she just looked freaked the hell out, said no words, just open mouth, crazy, like squinty eyes, face pulled back, like absolutely stressed out of her mind. And they had driven for like a mile and a half from the time that the traffic stop was initiated. Had no idea how to operate under our laws. That's like not a big deal situation. Now imagine that lady T-bones somebody. Crazy. Now put that person behind a big rig. So when we start seeing some of these actions, like not only do we need to make it less functional for these people to stay here. And by the way, anyone paying them is also breaking federal law. I'd love to see the Trump thing not talking about amnesty for farm workers and for hotel people, but to really actually go to the root of the cause, which is if there is no money, if there are no government programs, if we tighten up the purse strings so that there is no lure for you to come here and leech off our wonderful society, which even though it has millions of problems, we have literally millions of people here that are problems, but the significant problems, you could actually correct them kind of like they did in the movie Office Space. I should have grabbed that clip. So you fired him. No, we fixed the glitch. He's just not going to be getting a paycheck anymore. He actually was already fired years ago. We already had a rule that said you can't drive in this country if you don't speak the language. I'm going to give you one more little piece of like immigration type news, and then we'll get into the treason stuff as well. The U.S. is to revoke the temporary protected status for immigrants from Honduras and Nicaragua, putting them at risk of deportation. No kidding. Reported on by someone who I've read the name before because I've seen this one, Camilo Montoya Galvez. I love seeing hyphenated Hispanic last names talking about their concerns for Nicaraguans and Hondurans. 70,000 of them were given legal immigration status, and it is being revoked by the Trump administration in the latest effort to curtail humanitarian programs that allow foreigners to stay in the United States temporarily. It's actually in the name, people. Temporary protected status. How many of these people have returned back to Honduras or Nicaragua for any reason, or have family members that have visited the United States for any reason because they have legal status here and they can actually support a family visa to come in and hang out? Get the hell out of my country. It's temporary. Roughly 72,000 Hondurans and 4,000 Nicaraguans, many of whom arrived in the 1990s, have work permits and deportation protections under the TPS. It's freaking temporary. Get out. It's so crazy because CBS is actually reporting this like it's an awful thing. Oh my God, we're going to kick these people out. They've already been here for 25 years temporarily. It's freaking permanent at that point. 25 years in another country. I've never lived in the same place 25 years ever, and I'm from here. It's insane. The Biden administration greatly expanded. Yeah, this is the same group that brought in people from Haiti and Venezuela, if you guys recall. They made bigger opportunities to apply for the program. There's like 500,000 to 1 million people that fall in under the other quote unquote temporary protected status. It's supposed to be until your country gets back on its feet. It's like, oh my God, there was a massive earthquake. All of the infrastructure is gone. Rebuild your country, or you're being targeted by something. You're a single group of people, like maybe the Uyghurs from China. Oh, wow. They're putting you in concentration camps and killing you and taking your organs. You can come here and stay unless your country gets fixed. Or you could just stay here for like 30 plus years and you could start crying about being deported. They get warnings, by the way. It's like, hey, by the way, your TPS status has been revoked. Yet another Office Space sort of thing, that TPS. All right, let's do a quick read for my friends over at Patriot Protect. If you guys are worried about scams, shoot. Scams? We've got scammers in this country that we've imported. by the millions. Check out my buddies over at Patriot Protect. It doesn't have to come from the United States. Patriot Protect, it's patriot-protect.com/Kyle. Again, patriot-protect.com/Kyle. Link below here in the show description for all of this stuff. Yeah, there's always the risk of someone trying to steal your passwords, trying to do something illicit, trying to stay in your country and maybe use your stuff. Maybe you could do that by finding ill-gotten gains and being able to have access to bank records or emails, healthcare portals, government services, things that would be able to make someone impersonate you. You know, a lot of these people that come to this country illegally, they do so because they're using your social security number. I had my own social security number used by someone working in a pizza joint in like Tempe, Arizona, about 20 years ago. And I went like, what the hell? I've never even been there. If you guys want to make yourself a harder target, one of the best ways to do is pull your name out of the pile. You could do that with patriot-protect.com/KYLE. They're out there constantly scrubbing the internet from the data broker websites that are selling your stuff or giving access to it for free so people can go out there and pretend to be you. They can also try to scam you out of your bank account. And then the other side of it is they have a blackout service that's looking on the dark web to let you know, by the way, someone has your stuff and they're selling it. Criminals count on easy targets. Don't be an easy target. Make yourself a hard target. Use digital camouflage with the folks over at patriot-protect.com/KYLE. The only thing worse than getting hacked is knowing that you could have stopped it. Don't wait until you're a victim. Take action today. That's for all your things. Go ahead and prepare. Don't repair. It's like less than $8 a month for this service. If you do it annually, it's a pretty easy fire and forget thing. You set it up. You'll never think about it again. You pay for it one time and it covers you for the year. So patriot-protect.com/KYLE. Let's get into, let's see here. Let's get into this a little bit. You know what the Streisand Effect is? How many of you know what this house is? Probably some of you over there in the chat. I should show the chat in a second. This is Barbra Streisand's house in Malibu on the coast. And she didn't like that someone took like an aerial photograph or included it in some sort of like map area. So she went out and complained about it. And now everybody knows about it. This concept and this picture has its own Wikipedia page. Because when you try to cover things up, oftentimes what you do is you highlight it. And that is known as the Streisand Effect. It's something I talked about with Alex Jones yesterday by trying to say, I can't believe you guys are talking about this creep. I can't believe that you're busy trying to still re-adjudicate the things from Epstein. We're over this. We're done with it. Here's my Seraphin analysis on what happened. I still believe this is the case as much as anything else. I think someone downbriefed it to him. Downbriefed it means they played it down when they went in there. Trump's got a lot of things going on. You got millions of illegal aliens here. You've got this, we're sending weapons, which I don't like, over to Ukraine. So you've got the Russia conflict with Ukraine, and that's a U.S. Sort of foreign policy issue. You've got this recent ceasefire that happens in Iran. You've got a Fed chairman who's talking about maybe he's going to resign or maybe he's not. So you've got economic concerns. You've got all the screw ups of the administrators that were hanging around in the, the sort of holdovers from the Biden administration at every level. He still doesn't have all of his people confirmed. And someone comes in and briefs you, and it's like, look, by the way, sir, we just released a memo. There's some, buzz online about it, but we shut down the Epstein case. There was no there. We're not going to do any more prosecutions, and we've released that we're done with it. And he's like, oh, okay. End of story. They're worried about the situation that's happening in Texas, and so someone asked the question in the cabinet meeting, and you do exactly the wrong thing because maybe you were briefed wrong. Is that Susie Wiles' fault? Is that Pam Bondi's fault? Is that the briefers who come in and do the White House intelligence briefings from Odie and I don't know. But I can tell you that I don't have to immediately go, Donald Trump is covering up for something. That's not the way that I operate. I just look at it most logically and think, who benefits from making him look bad? Trump doesn't benefit from making himself look bad. So you got to weigh it. Did he go out and make an absolutely terrible decision and just decide, screw it, full speed ahead, damn the torpedoes, I'm going to go out and tell people to piss off? Or was he misled and given bad information? And I think they're as likely as not, and probably more likely, he was given bad information and briefed poorly. So that's what I talked about with Alex Jones the other day. He said he likened it to the plumbers were the ones who were really the problem when it came to the Nixon scandal and Watergate. That's what I actually think happened. That doesn't mean that they didn't play it wrong after that. And reading the room didn't get done. So Trump's Achilles heel, we said it yesterday, continues to be and always has been in both of these terms, not understanding or not properly grabbing the DOJ and not properly grabbing the FBI specifically, which is the biggest teeth for said DOJ. That's Kyle Seraphin's take on it. And what did they try to do? They tried to spin it. And this is the spin. The Trump administration is targeting Comey and Brennan with new investigations. All right. What do those investigations involve? Justice Department confirmed an inquiry into 2 frequent Trump targets as it faces scrutiny over its handling of the Epstein investigation. This looks like exactly what I believe that it is. It's a misdirect. It's an attempt to go after them for things like perjury. By and large, the bulk of anything that these men have ever done in government is no longer prosecutable under the statute of limitations. The statute of limitations says you have 5 years for non-capital offenses. So if it's not within the last 5 years, you got nothing. They did this deliberately. When I was talking to Alex yesterday, live on air, he was like, oh my God, it's just like what they did with the Russiagate thing. It took 5 years to finish the investigation, and at the end of it, there could be no prosecutions because the statute of limitation had been expired. Right? The statute of limitations is a problem. It limits, it doesn't matter who refers it. CIA can refer it, right? The DOJ can pick it up. Anybody can go after it. And it makes almost no difference. It is defined, non-capital offenses are defined by 18 United States Code 3282. There are a few things that are capital offenses. So everybody goes, oh my God, but what about treason? Well, you haven't thought about treason, Kyle. Give me a freaking break. How many of you people know anyone that's been prosecuted for treason? There's a small instance where John Brennan went forward and apparently testified in 2023. That would be within the statute of limitations. And he testified about something that happened years prior when he was the CIA director, saying that he didn't personally, or that he did not recommend the inclusion of the Steele dossier in an intelligence finding. You think that he personally put it in? He could easily say, yeah, unless they have communications from the CIA, good luck with that. And getting that introduced, you're going to go ahead and break the privacy seal of what the CIA director does when he communicates? Very unlikely. The DOJ regularly declines legitimately decent prosecutions in the national security space, so they do not have to declassify things. And a discussion about what goes on in an intel report is most definitely classified secret at the very minimum. All right? You think they're going to declassify this stuff? They're going to cut off their nose to spite their face and open up all of their CIA directors in the future, their ODNI, their NSA directors, their DIA directors, and so on? You think everybody's going to be on the risk of potentially hitting a perjury charge for testifying? Absolutely freaking not. Well, what about treason? In the United States, treason is defined at the federal level under Article 3, Section 3 of the United States Constitution. Levying war against the United States or adhering to their enemies, giving them aid and comfort. These are things that we've heard before. That's a really, really broad definition. It has been defined by U.S. Code. It has not been prosecuted since like 1952, I want to say. Let me see if I can get you the specific year on it. It was either 52 or 53. They did treason prosecutions in the Whiskey Rebellion in the 1790s. They did some of them a little bit later on. Shays Rebellion in the earlier rather in Shays Rebellion, it looks like. When was that? 1780s? Like, are you kidding me? This is not a real thing, folks. Early 1800s, there's a couple of charges here. There was one in the Taos Revolt. Hispano and Pueblo allies fought against the United States in 1847. This is not current history. This is not a real thing, charging somebody with treason in America. The last person that was convicted of treason was done in, let's see here, 1943. There were some cases. There was one in 1949. Many of these people were pardoned after a long time. And here you go. The last case of treason that was prosecuted in the United States that we can find was 1952. Japanese American. Convicted of treason, sentenced to death, worked as an interpreter for a Japanese POW camp, mistreated Americans. He was recognized as a former prisoner in a department store in 1946 after returning to the United States. His life sentence was commuted, or he was commuted to life sentence. He was released and deported in 1963. So he paid for that with about 11 years. Now, espionage is a different animal, but that's not what you're going to find. You're just not you're not going to find treason convictions that are going to get these things open. It's not going to happen. It's absurd. It's silly. It's narrow. It's wishful thinking. So don't expect to see any charges against these guys. These guys didn't lose any sleep last night. I can pretty much guarantee it. And to celebrate silly things that don't mean anything It's about as concerning as Donald Trump going to bed with goblins. I promised you some fun. I've been doing not fun. So let's do fun. This is a song that's going to stick in your head. This is Alex Jones, remixed, talking about his concern that Donald Trump, this is Fat Jones, back when he had a lot more weight. He's obviously lost a ton recently. Good for him. This is a less healthy Alex Jones talking about the concern that goblins might infiltrate our government.
Goblins, ingratiating goblins, in bed with a goblin. I don't want to see him kissing goblins, succubus with goblins, ingratiating goblins, in bed with a goblin. I don't want to see him kissing goblins, ingratiating goblins, in bed with a goblin. I don't want to see him kissing goblins, ingratiating goblins, in bed with a goblin. Dump it. Charging into a goblin's nest, some goblin vomit and slop and blood on it, especially up to his ankles. Trump charging into a goblin's nest, some goblin vomit and slop. Goblin vomit and slop. I'm not expecting him to not get dirty slop. Kissing goblins, ingratiating goblins, succubus with goblins, in bed with a goblin. Kissing goblins, ingratiating goblins. I just want to catch him in bed with a goblin, in bed with a goblin, in bed with a goblin, in bed with a goblin. I just want to catch him in bed with a goblin, bed with a goblin, bed with a goblin, bed with a goblin.
Who are the goblins? Can we just laugh about some of this stuff? Look, this is pretty decent analysis. It's actually kind of obnoxious, but it's true, I think. Bondi and Hegseth might be messing up. I actually think Hegseth seems to be doing a better job, but he's still got he's got more employees than any other government agency, as far as I can tell. And so, yeah, you're going to have all kinds of people subverting what's going on. Like, how many people have been reinstated after the vaccine disaster? Doesn't seem like, I can't think of any. And by the way, they're going after Rob Green, who's been a guest of our show at least once. We'll bring him back on again. Active duty Navy commander who's getting targeted again. You should follow him on social media as well. It's Rob Green 1010, I think, if I'm remembering his handle. When Trump was searching for his top cabinet secretaries, a flair for running smooth governing machines was nowhere in the job description. This is Stephen Collinson, the Brit for CNN, giving this analysis here. So rising frustration among White House aides about chaos coming from the offices of the Defense Secretary and Attorney General Pam Bondi seems a bit rich. I did get sort of like a off-the-record discussion that Bondi was basically going back and hiring a bunch of people at DOJ that are like political thank yous. And none of them share Trump's policies, which is why you're just getting really, really bad work out of DOJ. Can't substantiate it, but it sounds accurate. Pam Bondi, like I said, she lobbied for Qatar. She doesn't seem particularly bright. Maybe that's an act. Maybe she's really bright. But I don't know any people that are super bright that pretend to be dumb in front of other people. That is a really special instinct if they're able to get away with it. I think the odds are she's probably pretty mid-witted from what I can tell. Trump's getting exactly what he should have expected by spurning traditional public servants. I don't want traditional public servants. Filling top roles with high wattage Fox News performers, MAGA favorites, conspiracy theorists, and central casting archetypes with little knowledge of how Washington, D.C. works. Well, there's something to be said about that. It's not great. It's not. They're putting people at, like, some of these people are going to do better than others because competency in front of a camera is not the same thing as understanding the agency that you have to go work for. And Pam Bondi never seemed like a great choice. I wanted Matt Gaetz. I just wanted someone to go in. The story was, if you guys remember the time, Matt Gaetz was chosen as a attorney general pick. And the mainstream media just flipped their lid. They were like, oh my God, there's no way. Right? He goes, apparently, he went into Donald Trump, said, I want to do this job. I want to cut off some effing heads or something to that effect, which is the attitude that has to be had. And apparently Trump said, yeah. And then he was badgered, and then Gaetz found a better way. Maybe Gaetz realized it was going to be miserable there, which it probably is. I think Bongino is finding out that it is miserable to be in those jobs, to be the constant subject of scrutiny, to not have the free ability to defend yourself, which is real, and not knowing enough about the the agency. I mean, at least Gates was in Congress and regularly had those people out in front of him. He had access to the org charts. He was read in on a lot of things. Bongino's been out of government for 14 years. What a crap way to go back into it, to the deputy director job of the FBI, a job that you would never, none of you would want that job. And just look at the people who have gotten that job that are psyched about it. They're awful. Like 2 out of the last 3 have been criminals, like legitimately broke the law on the job and have done all kinds of crazy things like subvert their marriage or go out and just sleep with subordinates or just do awful like it's bad. And then your buddy, who used to be kind of like the lower tier, like if you were going to say, who's the media figure? Dan Bongino, Kash Patel, both media figures. Who's got more? I would say that the poll would be that Kash was the inferior media figure. He had a smaller audience. He had way less talent at it. He was not nearly as good. I didn't realize how full of shit Kash Patel was. And I guess I should have known. Man, when someone says something that you so desperately want to hear, you should always be careful. I didn't even follow my own rules of being a skeptic. This December 2023 interview with Glenn Beck is one that is constantly played. He was talking out of his ass. There's no way that Kash Patel knows what is going on with the director of the FBI and what the director of the FBI knows and doesn't know. Kind of like there's no way that Julie Kelly knows what's going on inside of the FBI because she's never served a search warrant. When people call Kash the Make-A-Wish director, to me, people that are currently working for the FBI, there's an awful lot of truth in that. He's flying around on jets. We're hearing some reporting that he's not even spending much time doing the job, and he left it in the hands of the guy who used to be number one. Bongino was definitely a more prominent media figure. And now Kash gets to live the life of the party. He gets to fly around. Everybody wants to take a picture with him. He was flipping autographs at the Rodeo Day, Family Day at the Hoover Building, which was unsafe. But of course, they had all the families there in Washington, D.C. He's moving into a new office. He's going to have a cool luxury suite at the Reagan Building. He's staying in D.C. Yuck. Here he is talking to Glenn Beck in 2023, and he didn't know any of the things that he was talking about. This is a bald-faced lie. And when I watched it, I kind of went like, I don't even think that's true. Like, why would the FBI director personally be in charge of evidence? I actually knew that. And probably so did you, if you were being honest. But none of us were being honest with ourselves. We should be ashamed. I am. You can be or not. Take your pick.
So who has Jeffrey Epstein's
Black Book?
Black Book.
FBI.
But who? That is, I mean, there's...
that's under direct control of the director of the FBI. Just like the manifesto from the Nashville school shooting of the Catholic schools. Yeah. We still haven't seen that, right? It's not the Nashville police or PD saying we don't want this out. The FBI airmailed into that operation and said this is not getting out. Because they do that because this is another government gangster operation. All these local law enforcement communities get funding from the DOJ and FBI for local programs. And if you don't cooperate, you're not getting your $1 million for this, and you're not getting and that's a lot of money to these local districts. That's how they play the game. That's why you don't have a black book. Or the
black.
First of all, that's not why you don't have a black book. But he is right. He actually articulated the problem. This is maybe why it was so sneaky. Because that is the problem. The federal state cooperation on task force is significantly damaging. And the fact that DOJ holds the purse strings for a lot of federal funding and then doles it out to the people that they wish. Yeah, you got to play ball with the feds. You have to, if you want to get bonus money for overtime, if you want to get all kinds of extra equipment. You know, there's a lot of federal money that is, decided by FBI and or DOJ that goes out to these people. And so, they build it into their budgets. So they're going to play ball. That is the antithesis of what we should have. Our local law enforcement should be the backstop for civil liberties because they're the closest to us. But all that crap is nonsense. He said the right things, but that's not why they didn't give the black book. It's because the FBI is a black hole for information. It's a no factory. He didn't actually address the motivations. He said why the FBI was able to go in and lean on things, but what he didn't say was why the FBI would go in and lean on things, which he said in other places, which I actually believed him as well. It's the intel people. No kidding. Why have they not all been gutted? Why have you promoted people who are still why is a senior manager from 2020 in the FBI still working for the FBI in 2025? Same question I have about the Secret Service guys who got suspended. Why? You just don't know what's going on? My buddy Garrett did a super clip. I'm going to play a little bit of this. Okay, don't tell anybody it was Garrett. If you listen, we're trying to shield him from this. But he put a lot of work into this thing. This is 11 minutes long. I'm going to post it over on Locals as well, but I just tossed it over on X. You guys should watch this. These are the lies. They look like this.
DOJ may be releasing the list of Jeffrey Epstein's clients. Will that really happen?
It's sitting on my desk right now to review. That's been a directive by President Trump. I'm reviewing that.
Flashback. Who has Jeffrey Epstein's
Black Book?
Black Book.
FBI. That's under direct control of the director of the FBI.
The Senate has confirmed Kash Patel as the new director of the FBI. He was another controversial choice.
That's why you don't have a Black Book.
That Jeffrey Epstein story is a big deal. Please do not let that story go. Keep your eye on this. I'm just going to throw this out there, Armacost. You think that would be valuable to an intelligence apparatus to have blackmail material on people on video doing things with young women they shouldn't be doing in case you need a, let's say, favor later? Hey, it'd be a real shame if this got out, wouldn't it?
Yeah, Dan, I think that'd be very helpful. Yes.
I think, maybe. We need to keep the heat on this case, folks. There are a lot of people who are knee deep in the Washington swamp who are not telling you the truth about serious allegations out there that Epstein may have had video and audio of people out there doing things they shouldn't have been doing. And you should be asking yourself the question, how is it that all these people, the CIA director, the Obama fixer, Bill Clinton, all intersected paths with Jeffrey Epstein? Jeffrey Epstein isn't with us anymore, and nobody seems to want to talk about it.
I'm saying we're going to apply a new Bongino rule to this, because you're talking about turning probably the most massive aircraft carrier in the world, which takes a long, long time. New Bongino rule is to wait 6 to 8 months before you see results. I'm thinking you're going to see him sooner, but you have to give him time, because you have no idea how many people are working against these two guys. People have texted me personally, agents that I know, going, it's unbearable here. These people are actively working against them. I've seen a text exchange of people saying that they're going to work against the administration not to implement what they want. You're talking about agents on the job right now who want to interfere with basically upholding the law.
I'm going to just go, that's things that have never happened for 500, Alex. Can you? Yeah. Jim Verdi doesn't know FBI agents. Give me a freaking break, man. And they're certainly not texting him. He just let it go. He's like, I've seen a text exchange. What, in the middle of an investigation that was from OPR, maybe? By the way, we're talking about the single biggest aircraft carrier to be turned around in history. We asked the Google chatbot question. This is a chat GPT question. How long does it take to turn an aircraft carrier? Because some of us really actually know something about the military. We don't say stupid shit like that. Let me just read it to you for those of you who are just not reading the screen with me. Turning an aircraft carrier, a massive vessel, can take anywhere from 3 to 10 minutes. I'll say it again. A massive vessel, an aircraft carrier, can turn in anywhere from 3 to 10 minutes, depending on the speed and the maneuverability that is required. In combat situations, sharp turns to avoid threats can be executed in as little as 3 minutes. You know, like when your nation is in the most dangerous situation possible. When slower, during more controlled turns, it might take around 10 minutes to complete a 180-degree turn. It doesn't take 6 to 8 months. It would be more accurate to say it takes 6 to 8 minutes. I would say 6 to 8 days would have been reasonable. But instead, we've seen 6 months, and they're now suspending or letting us know that the suspension happened of what? A couple of Secret Service agents for 42 days. Oops. Oopsie, oopsie. We're talking about the most massive, you don't know what you're talking about. And we are listening to these idiots who don't know anything. It's so tiring. It really is. I'm going to give you a discussion. This is for fun. This is not our palate cleanse. We'll close with something else a little bit here because we'll do something more familial in honor of Sean Duffy's kids. This is a clip that I found that was basically listening to pundits who have never held jobs outside of like talking about things. Like that's the only weird thing about me in the space that I'm currently sitting in, for whatever it's worth. I've held a bunch of jobs. It doesn't mean I'm an expert at any of them, but I would actually say that there was more accountability for work at the Baskin Robbins I started working at when I was 15 years old than there was at the FBI. that was brought up to me the other day. I've held a whole bunch of jobs in the restaurant industry. I've worked in the finance industry for a movie studio. I've worked in sales at various different levels. I've worked in media sales. I've worked in consumer goods sales. I've worked retail. I've worked wholesale. I've worked direct to business. I worked in the government, obviously. I've worked in hospitals and emergency medicine. I've worked in management of restaurants. Like I'm just like I did a bunch of random stuff for enough time to look at it and go like, okay, I have a survey of what the world's about. Done a lot of manual labor too, for whatever it's worth. I think that's something that's lacking a lot of these guys. But when I look at these pundits who don't have any experience in anything except talking about stuff, there's a guy out there right now. He's really famous for doing an impression of Donald Trump and being a painter of houses. And nothing against people who paint houses for a living. I think it's hard work and someone needs to do it. So great. Just doesn't mean you know much about the world out there because you probably haven't experienced a lot of it, particularly if you're from a communist state like New York or Massachusetts, or you live in Maine and you just don't know anything about stuff. Like, where have you lived? What have you seen? Have you ever been abroad? You got any experience? Does anyone care? Like, why do people care? So that's this exchange right now. This is kind of like whenever I turn on the news and I listen to people, they're like, this is a Wall Street Journal reporter who's been a reporter for a long time and they report on things that they don't actually have ever lived and they just have to take other people's word for it. No expertise. Evaluate your sources. This is about the same level of competence. This is Fox News, basically. This could be a Fox News hit.
Let's say you work a 9 to 5, good honest work, and that 9 to 5 pays you $1,000.
Pretty good.
But your time is worth $10,000. You just lost $9,000 on your first day.
Opportunity cost.
Now add a 0 to that $10,000. That's $10 million.
No, that's $100,000.
No. It's a thought experiment. Now Uncle Sam's on your tail, trying to wet his beak on your loot.
The more you make, the more they take.
Not in Mongolia.
No?
If I'm in Mongolia, Uncle Sam cannot wet his whistle on my spoils.
Now what about health insurance?
Don't know what it is.
You don't need what you don't know.
You don't know that. I know that.
Smart.
What about health insurance, right? I don't know what that is. Yeah, you don't need what you don't know. Here's the big scam. This is why everybody's so upset, because it feels like we can't do anything about any of these things except bitch about it, which is not really great. So at least we could laugh about it, right? You can laugh right up until you get that thing where your health insurance doesn't cover it. They might be onto something. If you don't know what it is, then you don't need it. How about this crazy nonsense? This is the story that I actually referred to the other day when we were talking about health insurance. And I said, I listened to this guy talking about it. This is actually like not going to make you laugh. It's going to make you cry. And I'll end with something that's funny too. But good God, imagine how stupid our system is. This man is paying for illegal aliens that we referenced earlier are going to kill us slowly. There's things that kill us slowly. There's things that kill us fast. Let me just say it real simply. Allowing elite pedophiles to continue and de-establish the authority that you were trying to reinstitute in these institutions that we've lost faith in, that's a really big problem. That'll kill us quickly. The Bill of Rights being trampled will kill us quickly, leaving millions of people that we're all paying for in these sort of like weird taxes. You know, the tax where you have to pay like 5 times what something costs because you're paying for the 5 other people that didn't pay for it. That will kill us slowly. Anyway, what's health insurance? I think health insurance is this. How many of you are being scammed?
Let's say you work a 9.
That's not what I was going to play you.
How can I help you? So I think there's a mistake on the bill, but maybe you could help me out. We got a bill, and then we realized that you guys didn't have our insurance, so we sent you the insurance, and it looks like the bill went up. It went up? Yeah, the first bill we got without the insurance was $600, and then the second one was almost $1,300.
Okay. Yeah, so that the first invoice you received, that's a discount that you receive if you're uninsured. So you're not eligible for the discount since you are insured. And so the bill was $2,342.14. We billed your insurance. Your insurance only paid $1,078.85.
Can I go back to the discount without the insurance?
No, so you're insured, so you're not eligible for the discount.
If I go cancel my insurance, am I eligible for the discount?
No, sir, because we checked eligibility and you do have active coverage for data service.
Oh, I needed to cancel it before I got the service to get the discount.
You're only eligible for the discount if you're uninsured.
Okay, so I'll get cheaper health care if I'm uninsured.
If you're uninsured, you're eligible for the discount.
I love it when people start, they loop back into the program and they're like, you will get the discount if you are qualified for the discount, sir. I can't make a logical assumption about the thing you just said, even though you were 100% right. It's actually cheaper to not have the health care because the discount is more significant. If you pay directly for it, then we get money from your insurance company, and then you pay for the insurance company and you pay more for the bill. That's the scam, right? Like, anyway, I just think it's funny. Hence my guys that were doing those fake numbers and doing the funny things with the, if you didn't see it, if you were just listening, they had like a stack of Ear Pro. He had like multiple Ear Pros stacked up on multiple safety helmets, pointing out the absurdity. That was obviously a comedy bit. It's not 100,000, it's 10 million because it's a thought experiment. All that's funny. That guy had a real experience, and that's not funny, and that is a real thing. So, again, slow kills, fast kills, Goblins with Alex Jones. I just had to have a little bit of fun with it because it seems so dumb. Let me just say, that's all I want to cover today. I don't even want to cover anything else. There's a couple other stories I had about some Texas officials that are either taking credit for or trying to run away from the blame on what happened in Texas. Let's give that a little bit of time to settle. That's an emotional case for me. It looks like the CEO of X, of Elon Musk's company, stepped down. So if anybody wants to recommend me to run X, I think we could probably do some really good work over there. I'd be happy to take that job. I'm sure it pays okay. If I can do it from Montana, even better. Be happy to step out of the podcast role and run X for Elon. He seems like a smart guy. We have not smart people running things, and the smart ones seem to keep their mouth shut and doing a great job. So I got you something good to end with. It's going to be something that is in the honor of, we're going to say it's in the honor of Sean Duffy. It's a father thing that many of you can reference and can relate to, I guess. Before we end it on that note, let me remind you, this is a one-man operation. If you guys want to support us, the easiest way is to hit the like button, just to like it and bump us up in the ratings. Rumble continues to have static numbers, despite the fact that we bring on more audience in every other platform every day. So take that for what it's worth. Keep overwhelming the algorithm with your comments, with your likes. The same thing over on YouTube. We really appreciate all of you guys. YouTube.com/@KyleSeraphin. If you want to do locals and directly support the program, you can also watch it over there with no interruptions. You don't have any sort of paywalls or anything like that. It's KyleSeraphin.com, or you can sign up to be part of our call-in show. And then lastly, Kyle Seraphin Show will let you go to the Spotify app. Sorry, KyleSeraphin.com is locals. Kyle Seraphin Show is the Spotify app. Those are the things. Let's do something fun. And then my buddies at the American Radicals podcast are actually doing their thing right now. So we'll give you that option. Should we do two fun things? I'll let the chat decide. Two fun things or one fun thing? I've got some funny AI video about illegal aliens. Maybe we'll do like a little short version of that first. Let's do two fun things here. AI is terrifying. It's probably going to kill us, but also it does make these great videos that let us know that illegals don't make a lot of sense when they are fighting against America to stay in America. Here's the do.
Let's wave the flag of the country we don't want to live in the country we do want to live in. Viva Mexico! You're going back to Mexico. Yay! Please don't send me back there. Wait a minute, shouldn't we be waving the American flag if we want them to let us stay? Down with America! Viva Mexico!
Okay, sir, we'll book your one-way flight to Mexico right now.
Wait, I was just kidding. I love McDonald's. I have Taco Bell receipts. God bless the USA.
So about staying here, would that be all right?
Are you serious? No! You broke in and you're literally destroying my home.
Viva Mexico!
You're going back to Mexico?
Please don't send me back there.
Hola, amigo.
Is Mexico better than the United States?
Yes, of course. This country sucks.
Then why don't you go live there?
No, man, you are a racist. Stop the deportations now.
That's pretty on point, right? That's the thing that's going to kill us slowly. How about the thing that kills us slowly every single day, which is being a parent or being a grandparent? It kills us in the way that we're supposed to, because none of us are supposed to get out of this alive. It's my favorite. Okay, this guy makes me laugh, and it made me happy, and I think you will appreciate it too. I don't know what his name is, but if you know him, He's just a regular dad dealing with regular dad stuff. This is our second palate cleanse of the day because we need it so much this week. And then I'll see you guys for Friendly Friday after this.
I live with 5 girls, so there's a lot of crying in my house because I live with 5 girls, and it makes me sad sometimes. I can't just keep it all in. And I made 4 of these girls. I made them. And the other one is the one that I used to make the 4 girls. She's like the sourdough starter for girls. And people ask if I have any advice for living with girls, and I don't, because I haven't figured it out yet. I don't know how to do it. But I do spend a lot of time out here in the garage where it's hot, and they know where I am, but it's just hot, so they don't want to be out here. So I just come out here and I wait. And I don't know what I'm waiting for, but I know it hasn't happened yet. So if you are somebody who's going to be living with girls and it's going to be a while, then you can just come out here and we'll just wait. So I hope that helps. I live with 5 girls.
I don't know that guy's name, but I love him. He's my brother. I'm pretty sure of it. I'm sure we're related in spirit. That's it for today. Stick around if you guys are on Rumble. We'll go to the AMRAD podcast. If you're on YouTube, look forward to seeing you guys tonight. We're going to do the call-in show. We'll talk about whatever's on your heart. If you guys want to bring some funny stuff to me, I could use it this week. I really could. I hope you have a great Thursday. Looking forward to tonight, and God bless you. Have a great day out there.
Thanks for listening to The Kyle Seraphin Show, streamed live weekdays on rumble.com/Kyle Seraphin. Follow Kyle on Twitter, Truth Social, and Instagram @Kyle Seraphin.